Not every truth makes it into history books. Some stories live in silence, hidden behind chandeliers, marble floors, and the weight of old money. But sometimes all it takes is a single moment, a glance, a hand reaching out, a dance, to shatter the illusion of perfection. This is not just a story about wealth and power. It is a story about dignity, scars, and the courage to be seen. The Melville estate glowed like a palace. Chandeliers rained light over polished marble. Gilded mirrors doubled the brilliance, and laughter skimmed across the air like champagne bubbles. Every detail was choreographed. The gowns, the tuxedos, the music, even the pauses between conversations. Yet beneath the glitter, silence lived, an unspoken agreement to ignore what was uncomfortable, to keep certain truths out of sight. Sariah Brooks. Sariah Brooks carried her tray of wine glasses as though it were part of her body. At 24, she had perfected the art of being present yet unseen. Her skin gleamed warm under the chandelier glow, her eyes a steady brown that hinted at stories no one in this room would ask about. Her uniform was flawless. Crisp white shirt, black trousers, apron tied neat, sneakers spotless. On her lips, half a smile, trained to please without ever intruding. But beneath the practiced calm, she carried weight. Remarks she had endured since childhood, the sting of lowered expectations, the ache of being treated as less. When a woman at one table whispered, "She's lovely, but I didn't realize the staff had become so diverse." Sariah heard it. She always heard it. Her spine straightened. Her steps remained graceful. She did not break. Callum Melville. From the edge of the ballroom, a man lingered half in shadow. Callum Melville, 29, dressed in a midnight blue suit tailored to perfection. Tall, broad-shouldered, the figure of an heir. Yet what drew every eye and every avoidance was the scar. From temple to jawline, the left side of his face was etched by fire. The skin pale, uneven, tugging at his left eye. The right side of his face remained striking, sharp-jawed, handsome in a cold way. But symmetry was gone, and with it, the world's easy admiration. Once he had been the golden son. Now he was the hidden one. For years, his father kept him away from cameras, society, anything that reminded the public of imperfection. Tonight was his reappearance, unannounced but impossible to ignore. And in the swirl of stolen glances, one gaze met his without flinching. Hers, their first words. When Sariah passed his table, tray balanced, he spoke. His voice was low, rough, as if unused. "You're the first person tonight who didn't flinch." Her hand trembled, then steadied. She looked at him directly, at the scar, at the man, and answered softly, "I don't flinch easy." It was nothing more than an exchange of words, yet for both it was more than anyone else had offered in years. A moment of recognition, a refusal of invisibility. Victor and Diana. At the head table, Victor Melville lifted his glass, his expression carved from granite. At 60, with silver hair swept back and gray eyes that froze conversation, he needed no words to command. He had seen the exchange. Victor embodied control, and nothing unsettled him more than losing it. His tuxedo, his family crest pin, his silent authority, every piece was designed to project power. Beside him sat Diana Melville, nearly 55, dazzling in a silver gown. Her golden hair curled in waves, her pearl necklace catching the light. Her smile was flawless, but her blue eyes betrayed calculation. She moved with queenly grace, always aware of her image. Together they watched. Together they sensed a shift. Their son had broken formation. Between walls, in a back hallway, Sariah leaned against cool plaster, tray empty. The air smelled of soap instead of perfume. Here she allowed her breath to shake. Memories pressed in, teachers dismissing her, employers overlooking her, lovers ashamed to stand beside her. Each cut small, but together they scarred. And yet tonight, a scarred man had looked at her like she was whole, not invisible, not less. She straightened her uniform, lifted her chin, returned to the ballroom taller. The silent storm. Back in the glow, Callum remained still. He watched the chandeliers scatter gold, the crowd of polished masks circling. For so long he had been taught to hide his scars, to live in silence. But in Sariah's gaze he had seen defiance, of shame, of dismissal. It was a mirror, and it made him wonder if silence was no longer enough. At the head table, Victor's jaw tightened. Diana's smile held, though her gloves pressed against her lap a shade too firmly. Guests whispered, laughed, carried on. But the air had shifted. Something unseen, but undeniable had begun. The orchestra swelled. The night glittered. But beneath the music, silence grew heavier. And before long, it would break. Gershwin smoothed the air. The ballroom practiced its manners. In a service nook, event planner Serena Blake nudged dots on her tablet. One dot, Sariah B, drifted. West corridor only, she said into her comm. Keep her out of donor shots. Sariah felt the line without hearing it. She moved with quiet precision. Pressed white shirt, black trousers, tray steady. A guard stepped in. R. Latimer. Back corridors, he said. I'm delivering Burgundy to table 9, she answered. They asked for the label. A pause, a look, a grudging step aside. A white rookie server sailed through unbothered. Sariah filed the contrast like a stone on an old shelf. From the fringe, Callum read the room the way sailors read weather. Through chandelier haze, he saw Sariah absorb a mauve-gowned woman's tutored condescension. This is the 2015 Clos de la Roche. Burgundy, Pinot Noir, Sariah said. If you prefer Bordeaux, I can fetch the Margaux. How very knowledgeable, the woman said as to a speaking vase. A filament of triumph crossed Sariah's mouth. Callum felt proud, surprised by it. Don't vanish into corners, Diana murmured, materializing in silver silk and pearls. Angles become the story. He nodded toward Sariah. Her name is Sariah. She looks at people like they're not puzzles. People like you are stories, Diana said gently. That's why we choose who gets to look. Serena and PR chief Dante Cooper aligned the optics. Soft debut, Dante said. One effortless frame that costs a fortune. Keep any shots with her from behind, he added. Legacy, not commentary. The garden door exhaled night. Sariah stepped out for a minute she didn't own. White lights and olives, a lit fountain. Callum sat on the low wall. I'm off grid, she said. 60 seconds. The grid will survive. He offered the space beside him. I don't sit during service. Then we'll stand wrong together. He confessed shrinking himself to take up less space in the story. People just step on you more quietly, she said. Some rooms only have names that fit their furniture. Is there a room that fits you? Not yet. I'm building one. Back inside, Victor's toast hit its marks. Gratitude, philanthropy, legacy, while cameras harvested compliance. On stage, a handwritten chart, Rise Again, appeared, then was dutifully slid aside. A violinist hummed its first 3 notes anyway, as if remembering something unlearned. Latimer waylaid Sariah again in the west corridor. Badge. Redirected twice, she said. Wait, is there a problem? Callum asked, arriving like a contradiction. She's on the floor, he said, placing each word like a stone. Latimer relented. That wasn't necessary, Sariah murmured as she passed. I know. Thank you. A socialite kissed her shoulder with cold champagne. I've ruined your costume. It's a uniform, Sariah said pleasantly. It launders. Callum half offered his jacket, then understood when she whispered, If I wear that, I become a headline in someone else's mouth. The band returned to safe standards. Between songs, the pianist tested 3 notes. The violin found harmony, the cello, the river. Curiosity slipped into the room like a draft. Diana's smile dimmed. Recognition is a kind of light. Victor set his glass down without a sound, which is how some men announce panic. Keep my son from entanglements, he told Dante. It reads human, Dante said, hating himself. It reads unedited. We don't post drafts. Callum's phone buzzed, visible during dessert. No improvisations. He didn't answer. Then the closing set. The binder's safe pocket came up empty, and Rise Again arrived anyway. 3 notes opening windows no one remembered existed. The crowd loosened into an oval of space, the way water makes room for what must pass. On one edge, Sariah, tray finally empty. On the other, Callum, hands at his sides. Chandeliers burn the brightness that softens faces and sharpens moments. Something older than shame decided. Callum stepped forward, not quite invitation, more confession. He had run out of corners. Sariah did not retreat. The music stitched them nearer, thread by thread. Across the room, Victor said, almost mild, "Stop the music." No one stopped. The melody kept opening doors, and at last the room seemed willing to walk through. Callum took a small, almost impolite step. No flourish, just a man out of corners. Across the oval of space, Sariah stood steady, tray gone, hands light. "Only if you want to," he said. "I do." Right hand to shoulder, left to palm. A simple box step first, grammar before poetry. Callum softened the lead he'd been trained to make hard. Sariah turned the choreography of service into visible grace. "Look at me. I am." They turned once. The circle widened. People who never moved for anyone stepped back. At the head table, Victor stayed standing. "Stop the music," he said low. The band didn't, or pretended not to. Diana's gloved fingers hovered. Memory trembled in her eyes. "Let it be brief," she whispered. Sariah counted time against the ghost of champagne on her collar. "Tell me when to stop. When it feels like an answer. Answers are noisy here. Then we'll listen elsewhere." Phones rose, posts bloomed, air dancing with staff/rise again. "She's stunning," Dante murmured. "Containment, not denial." Victor, "Frame it or end it." Dante, "If we end it now, we become the story." Victor, "We already are." They passed the mauve gown. A younger guest breathed, "This will blow up." "Everything blows up," the older replied. "Some of us rebuild better." Malin at the service station. 2 minutes. Please, Latimer stood like a rule waiting for a signal that didn't come. "Who taught you that turn?" Callum asked. "Living." "You." "Fleeing." "Not the same." "It is tonight." The melody lifted. For a breath, the room was beautiful without permission. Victor tried dignity as command. "Gentlemen, thank you." The pianist softened, the violin unspooled. "One more turn," he whispered. "One more." They ended in stillness, not a pose. Applause gathered, complicated. "You'll pay for that," Sariah said. "I already did." "That's not what I meant." "I know." "Thank you for not pretending." "I'm tired of pretending." "Good." "It's heavier than it looks back of house." Malin offered a clean shirt. "Senior requests you rotate out." "Am I fired?" "Not by me." Dante appeared, tie loosened, pressed smile in hand. "You handled yourself with extraordinary professionalism. If anyone asks for comment, refer them to me. We'll ensure your privacy." "My privacy isn't your family's privacy." A beat. "You're right," he said. Victor filled the doorway. "We value impeccable service, not improvisation." "I didn't improvise, sir." I followed my partner. "You were not at work to dance." "I was at work to be human while working." I did both. He tried to grip control. Found none. "You'll be compensated." "You may step out. I'll step out after I close my station, so the next person doesn't walk into a mess I could have cleaned." On stage, the governor's gratitude landed on schedule. Diana smoothed a crease she hadn't planned for. Callum stood profile to the room, scar honest. "You humiliated our guests," Victor said later. "I saw them," Callum answered. "That's the opposite. You made the night about you. I made it about what's real in a room that likes surfaces. What's real is what survives scandal. Some scandals survive what should have been real. Service lot, night air, a delivery truck idling, a yellow cone of light. Miss Brooks, a lean man with a plain briefcase. Corbin Hayes. I worked here. Once he set the case down gently. The dance is the small story. The large story has memos, cut corners, signatures, sprinklers shut off for drapes. Locks never serviced. Budgets. Brochures. A ledger. I brought proof. Because tonight the music stopped obeying. Why me? Why now? Because you stepped into the middle without permission, and because he'll need someone beside him who isn't making a brand out of his face. If I take this, I don't go back to being the girl who just serves wine. They weren't going to let you go back anyway. Give me a number. A time he wrote on the back of an invoice tore a corner. Tomorrow, not here. She slid the paper under her phone case, felt its edge press her palm. Then she went back in to stack plates, wipe a spill, finish what she began. Inside, chandeliers pretended nothing interrupts light. Staff finished with patience. Victor lifted a glass he wouldn't recall. Diana's glove held a crease. Callum put his phone face down and listened for the melody that returns when rooms forget how to obey. In Sariah's apron pocket, the paper corner left a small indentation in her hand. Morning. The phone raggedly breathes. 412,000 views. Praise and bile braided. Meline. HR wants a protective statement. Unknown number. Bus depot. Platform 12. Noon. See diesel air at the depot. Corbin opens a plain briefcase. Emails begging for time. Replies, must hit gala date. Inspection forms stamped, not signed. Sprinkler heads marked paid, never installed. Exit sign bagged for aesthetics. Not just proof, a map of a choice, he says. Pick the newsroom, I'll pick the lawyer, Sariah answers. 10th floor, Melville Holdings, damage control. Dante, lean on philanthropy, post celebrating our team. Victor, feelings don't co-govern. Stay on schedule, Diana. Quiet. The schedule already failed. Callum walks the city, lets his phone die. Diana, wear a hat. People are looking. Corbin, we move today. Sariah, don't do it alone. Callum, I won't. Pastel HR, we'll protect you and the brand. Sariah, in which order? Meline, start with security to her car. Independent newsroom. Start with what you can prove, then what you lived. Callum, on the record. Sariah, I saw a man try to stop a song. A room learned to listen for 2 minutes. A son chose to be seen. I won't be the center, and I won't be erased. Assignments fly, subcontractor, retired inspector, money trail, the cellist, the girl now woman. The smear lands cropped clip, taking a package. Old campus photo labeled radical, anonymous claims she bragged. Diana stands with Dante. Do not smear her. Victor, trace the orbit. Church choir rehearsal, wooden pews hold memory. Sariah cries once quietly. On the steps, Callum with 2 T's and a low hat. They'll drag you. They'll drag you more. I'm insulated by money. Use it or melt it. Midnight headline draft, corporate shortcuts, public fire. Foster Hall and what was authorized Callum. Print the truth, names if they're there. Night closes. Victor reads legal. Slow, not stop. Diana stares at the city and dreams of applause for truth. Dante edits statement final and breathes with the radio. Corbin sleeps on a friend's couch. Sariah sets an early alarm, tucks the paper shard under her phone like a relic. The cost of being seen is paid in glances, contracts, headlines, outstretched hands, in names spoken and names withheld. Morning will balance the ledger. Tonight, remember, doors can open, windows can be pried, and when music disobeys, people remember where their hands are. 9:02 a.m. The investigation drops. Corporate shortcuts, public fire, Foster Hall and what was authorized, stamped inspections, paid but uninstalled parts. We have a gala date to hit. Callum on record, I will not be silent. City Hall calls a 1 p.m. presser. 10th floor, Melville Holdings, damage control. Victor, we do not respond. Dante, we have to. Diana, they're gathering at City Hall. Silence reads as hiding. Final call, draft remarks. Keep them plain. On the steps, cameras jockey, burn survivors gather. Parents hold programs from Foster Hall's opening. Corbin, dates, signatures, decisions. Negligence isn't a natural disaster, it's a choice. Maya Ortiz, the once 14-year-old violinist now grown. No money installs a past sprinkler, but money can guarantee the next one. Sariah. I serve rooms and try to stay human in them. Last night a song opened windows. Today the documents name who shut them. Callum. I love my father. I won't shield him from what he oversaw. We called our silence privacy and let it hide liability and optics. Install audits, enforce codes, fund safety. I'll write the first check. Victor arrives uninvited, inevitable. We complied with the law. We trusted experts. If there were failures, they weren't failures of intent. Reporter. Did you sign the change to the sprinkler spec? I sign many authorizations. I don't sign malice. Will you step aside during the investigation? We don't govern by headlines. Diana steps to a second mic. Today needs truth, not control. Step aside for the review, for the truth, for our son. Victor looks at Callum, a decade of unsaid sentences in one glance. I will step aside during the investigation. Effective immediately, a beat, then, I am sorry. A busker's violin threads a simple tune, not rise again, but from the same river. The crowd doesn't cheer. They shift weight and choose whether to believe. Enough do. At the base of the steps, a city attorney staffer asks Sariah to join a retrofit enforcement working group. We need people who won't let process be an excuse. I'll come. I'll bring people. Dante texts Serena. You seeing this? Always. Legal pings. Emergency board session. Dante reminds himself. Plain verbs. No heroes, villains, facts. Callum meets Sariah where the stairs widen into ordinary ground. We did it. We did something. It's not the same tune. It doesn't need to be, just enough to open a window. Above them, Victor lingers at the podium to memorize the view from a new angle. Diana stands by the mayor, not her husband. The city does what cities do, makes room for two stories at once. The city convenes a retrofit and enforcement working group. Union reps, venue owners, a fire marshal aide, teens, legal aid, and Sariah with a photo of a taped exit sign. Windows and doors, she says. Name who owns the latch. By lunch they draft teeth. Independent inspections. Public certificates on every door. Fines scaled to revenue. And a city fund so small theaters can retrofit without closing. At Melville Holdings, the board meets under two bright lights. Dante argues for plain verbs, not spin. The board votes, outside safety review, open minutes, a retrofit fund beyond legal duty, and Victor's temporary step-aside extends until the fixes are implemented. Pen steady, jaw tight, he signs. In the hall, Diana says softly, control won't fix this. Consent to being seen, Mike Corbin goes back to a real stage. A ladder, a new exit sign, coffee with Maya Ortiz. No longer the 14-year-old violinist, now a woman with a bright scarf. The city fund will cover their sprinklers. Will he come? She asks. He shows up, Corbin says. Callum shows up at Sariah's after-school arts space. Painted shelves, 8 folding tables, Lily asleep in sunlight. On the wall, you are not a favor. You are a fact. Kids read one-line truths. A fire marshal officer pins max occupancy and jokes, regulatory condensation, wiping an eye. In the garden that once staged optics, father and son walk. Victor. I protected my plan more than you. Callum. Love without control is a muscle. Victor's apology on the steps mattered, Callum says. Learn with me. Victor nods. Council committee night. Lobbyists argue costs. A venue owner shows a ledger. A mother raises a program from a decade ago. The ordinance advances, imperfect, honest. Back at the center, Callum plays 3 plain notes. The cello finds them. Pencils tap time. A kid who has no talent hums. No filming, just room. Sariah circles, fingers the door latch. Smooth, obvious now. I'm counting things I never thought I'd see, she tells Callum. Posted signs because someone cared. A fund formed before lawsuits. A father saying I'm sorry without a script. A room of kids who know they're not a favor. What's the lesson, he asks. Racism shrinks the room, she says. Dignity widens it. Our job is to keep pulling walls apart until everyone fits without asking permission. They lock up. Outside, a busker tries a not yet famous tune. Somewhere, a board drafts an unglamorous rule that will save a life in 5 years. Doors don't swing themselves. Hands do. Thank you so much for watching and staying with this story. If it moved you, please follow and share the channel so more people can find it.
Thank you for watching.